I started my playing journey there all them years ago.
Wilshere, good stop, what a goal! Through now, Wilshere, good try! Finally!
Jack is an exceptional football player, you know. He was brave, was talented, wasn't scared of anybody.
Gets it back through Wilshere, onside, and the eventual finish from Wilshere.
He has an ankle sprain, and but of course for Sunday I think he will be short. How long will he be out, I don't know.
Frustrated at the start of being left out. I just forgot about football, and I remember saying to my wife, I'm not sure I can do this anymore.
It was February 16th, 2011, the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal versus Barcelona in the Champions League knockout stages. A 19-year-old English midfielder is about to put on a performance that will leave Xavi and Iniesta, the greatest midfield duo in history, chasing shadows. Jack Wilshere completed 43 out of 46 passes that night, gliding past the Barcelona press with a combination of technique and fearlessness that had Pep Guardiola immediately shaking and asking his staff, who is this kid? Yet, just a few years later, that same prodigy would be struggling for game time at Bournemouth, and by 30, he'd be retired from professional football altogether. This is the story of Jack Wilshere, the biggest what if in football history. Jack Wilshere wasn't just another talented youngster. He was considered the chosen one at the Emirates, the player who was supposed to define English football for a generation. He was born in Stevenage in 1992, and Jack Wilshere joined the Arsenal Academy at just 9 years old, and by 16, he was already making his first team debut, becoming Arsenal's youngest ever league player, breaking a record previously held by the one and only Cesc Fabregas. What made Wilshere special wasn't just his technical ability, though that was exceptional. It was his uniqueness in the English footballing landscape. In a country that had traditionally produced powerful direct midfielders, the likes of Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard, just to name a few, Wilshere was something entirely different.
When the season started, the boss gave me my first squad number. I was in and around the team and I was buzzing. But I still just wanted to play. I remember being on the bench a few times and just not getting off the bench and thinking, I just want to get on. Then we were 4-0 up against Blackburn and he put me on, and it's a dream come true.
A technically perfect playmaker with a vision of a Spanish maestro and the tenacity of an English bulldog. As Arsène Wenger famously put it, Jack has Spanish technique but an English heart. He's exactly what the modern game demands. His breakthrough season came in the 2010-11 season, where he made 49 appearances for Arsenal in all competitions. He created 52 chances that season, more than any other teenager in Europe's top 5 leagues. But it was that night against Barcelona that truly announced Wilshere to the world, going toe-to-toe with Xavi, Iniesta, and Sergio Busquets. He didn't just survive, he thrived. Xavi himself was stunned. Wilshere is a top player. He played a fantastic game against us. He can be a great player for Arsenal and for England. He has a lot of quality and is intelligent on the pitch. At just 19, Wilshere had the world at his feet. The PFA Young Player of the Year award followed, along with Arsenal's Player of the Season. And let's not forget, England had found its midfield general for the next decade, or so many of us thought. The first warning sign came in the summer of 2011 during a preseason tour with Arsenal. Wilshere suffered an ankle injury. What initially seemed minor would ultimately keep him out for the entirety of the 2011-12 season. It was just a tackle in training, Wilshere later recalled. I felt something, but I didn't think it was serious. Then the scan showed a stress fracture. They said I'd be out for a few months. It ended up being 17.
What was one of the worst injuries you had?
My first injury was my worst, and I paid the price a lot for that. It was my right ankle. It was like the talus. And I went to see the specialist surgeon, and he was like, well, I've never seen that. 6 years later, I was 25. I went back to see the surgeon, and he was like, oh, you're still playing?
No.
Yeah. And I was like,
It's normally a career
and he was
ender,
like,
done.
He showed me the notes from the surgery, and it was like, yeah, might not play again, might not be able to walk.
This wasn't just any season to miss. It was a crucial development year. At 19, Wilshere should have been building on his breakthrough campaign, cementing himself one of Europe's elite midfielders. Instead, he watched from the sidelines as his body betrayed him for the first time, but certainly not the last. The statistics tell a devastating story. Between the 2011 and 2016 seasons, Wilshere missed 155 games for Arsenal due to injury. That's the equivalent of more than 4 full Premier League seasons. As his former teammate Cesc Fabregas explained, the hardest thing in football isn't reaching the top, it's staying there. Jack had all the talent to be one of the best in the world, but those injuries at such a crucial age, it's almost impossible to overcome that. When Wilshere did return, flashes of his genius remained. A stunning goal against Norwich in 2013 involving a series of one-touch passes that Guardiola's Barcelona would have been proud of, reminded everyone of his exceptional talent. But consistency was impossible. Just as he would build momentum, another injury would strike. What made Wilshere's injury record so cruel was the nature of his playing style. This wasn't just the speed merchant losing half a yard of pace, this was a technical midfielder who relied on sharp turns, quick thinking, and the ability to ride challenges. The ankle injuries were devastating. Between 2011 and 2016, Wilshere underwent 5 separate ankle surgeries, 3 on his left ankle and 2 on his right. Each operation meant not just physical recovery, but relearning movements that had once been instinctive. Wilshere explained in a heartbreaking interview with The Athletic, after each surgery, you have to teach your body how to move again. Things that used to be natural, the way you turn, the way you push off, it suddenly just felt foreign. And just when you start feeling normal again, something else breaks down. And the numbers are staggering. By the time Wilshere left Arsenal in 2018, he had spent a total of 1,045 days, nearly 3 full years on the treatment table. For context, that's more time injured than Abu Dhabi, who was 980 days on the treatment table. A player whose career almost exclusively is remembered for having injury problems. What makes this even more tragic is that Wilshere's playing style may have contributed to his physical breakdown. His fearlessness, the very quality that made him special, also made him vulnerable. As his former England teammate Frank Lampard observed, Jack never shied away from a challenge. He'd receive the ball in tight spaces, hold on to it until the very last moment, and take the hit. That bravery is what made him great, but also cost him physically. The physical toll of Wilshere's injuries is well documented. However, less discussed but perhaps even more significant was the psychological impact. He stated, "The hardest part isn't the pain or the rehab." Wilshere revealed all of this in a candid BBC interview. He stated also that it's watching your teammates play, watching other players your age develop and improve while you're stuck in the gym again. You start questioning everything, your body, your ability, even your purpose. This mental struggle manifested in various ways. According to those closest to him, Wilshere became increasingly isolated during his injury layoffs. The confidence that had once defined his play, that willingness to take risks and express himself, it gradually eroded. Former Arsenal psychologist David Priestley, without specifically naming Wilshere, once explained that the psychological impact of recurring injuries. He stated, when a player suffers multiple setbacks, they often develop a form of PTSD around certain movements. They become hesitant, constantly anticipating pain, which changes how they play even when physically healed. This phenomenon was visible in Wilshere's play after 2014. The statistics show a player who took fewer risks, attempted fewer dribbles, and generally played it safer. In the 2010-11 season, Wilshere attempted 2.3 dribbles per 90 minutes. By 2016-17, that number dropped to 1.4. As Arsène Wenger sadly noted, the Jack who came back from injuries was still very good, but he had lost a fraction of his belief. The absolute conviction that he could do anything on a football pitch at the highest level, and that is what makes the difference in the player.
The game is of such an intensity, but it takes you always a while to find the rhythm, the confidence back, and a great career doesn't suffer stop and go. You know, it's you have to be consistently present. When you look at all the players who are at the top level of the world, so you're always sad when a guy of that quality is stopped by problems.
By 2016, it was clear that Wilshere needed a fresh start. A loan move to Bournemouth was set up by Arsenal. It was a step down that would have been unthinkable for the player who had dominated Barcelona's midfield just 5 years earlier. Initially, the move seemed to work. Wilshere made 27 appearances for Bournemouth that season, his highest total in a single season since 2010-11. For the first time in years, he was playing regular football. But this was all temporary. In April of 2017, a collision with Tottenham's Harry Kane resulted in yet another fracture. Now it was back to Arsenal and back to rehabilitation. Following season brought another loan deal, this time to West Ham United, and by now, the downward trajectory was undeniable. Between 2016 and 2020, Wilshere made just 51 league appearances across 3 different clubs. For comparison, in the same period, Dele Alli, another talent who failed to fulfill his potential, made 162. Then came a brief emotional return to Arsenal's training ground during the COVID-19 pandemic to maintain his fitness, but it ultimately led nowhere. A short spell at Bournemouth in the Championship followed before Wilshere announced his retirement in July of 2022, aged just 30. As Gary Lineker put it, Jack Wilshere retiring at 30 is one of football's great tragedies. We're talking about someone who could have been one of the best midfielders of his generation, not just in England, but globally. While Wilshere's playing career ended prematurely, his footballing journey continues. In July of 2022, he returned to Arsenal to be the head coach of the under-18s team.
It's a huge honour to have that role. You know, a big part of my life was spent in the academy. To walk in their footsteps is a massive honour, and it's a big opportunity for me as well.
Bringing his career in full circle. He stated that coaching wasn't something I'd had planned, but when you've had your playing career cut short, you'll look for ways to stay connected to the game that you love. And I realized I had experiences, both good and bad, that could help young players. Early reports suggest that Wilshere has found his calling. His Arsenal under-18 teams plays with the technical fluidity and the bravery that characterized his own game. More importantly, he's become a mentor for young players dealing with setbacks, something that he knows all too well about. As Mikel Arteta, Arsenal's current manager and Wilshere's former teammate, observed, Jack understands both the highest highs and the lowest of lows in football. That makes him uniquely qualified to guide young players. The wisdom that he has at 30 is something that most coaches don't acquire until later in their careers. Then came the move to Norwich, where he took over as the assistant manager at the club, and right now, he is currently even managing Norwich as the caretaker manager. What does the future hold for this once great midfielder? Could he be the next big manager in world football? Only time will tell. Jack Wilshere's career will always be defined by the big words, what if? What if he never got injured? What if he would have stayed fit? What if he would have managed to play one more season at Arsenal? What if he would have continued and played into his 20s? Could he have been the guy that England had been crying out for?
And straight away he has shown that he has the quality to be a main player. Jack's career was exceptional talent, but didn't play enough games because of injuries, and that's why in the end I think he stopped, because it's very difficult. You cannot play at your best anymore. That's very difficult to swallow, and you lose confidence as well.
The midfielder who could have redefined English football, who could have rivaled Xavi and Iniesta, who could have led his country to glory, all reduced to a highlight reel of fleeting brilliance. The biggest what if in football? Well, I don't know. You let us know in the comments below. Yet perhaps there is beauty in this imperfection of Wilshere's story. He could have been the player who could have had the world at his feet, but now he could be the manager that is changing football. We don't know, but only time will tell. Guys, let us know down in the comments below, is Jack Wilshere the biggest what if in football, or is there another player who is a little bit higher in this regard? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to give us a like and also subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Remember that you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for more footballing content like this over here on the Footy Zone.